Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Carmine Sabia for Explain America, and what conservative Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett just said has liberals really shaken. Before we get started, please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Those little things really help us out, and they help our channel continue to grow. Liberals right now believe that the Supreme Court is on the precipice of overturning Obergefell. Now, that is the landmark Supreme Court case that legalized same-sex marriage. And I don't really care what you think about same-sex marriage one way or the other. Whether you think it's great, whether you don't like it, doesn't really matter. What matters is the law. See, the Supreme Court is not supposed to create law. And it did that with Roe v. Wade, and it did that with Obergefell. It created law. It didn't just interpret the Constitution. It is not the job of the Supreme Court to create law. Now, I believe if Obergefell is struck down, you're going to have darn near 50 states that are going to make, same-sex marriage legal anyway. The point Amy Coney Barrett is making here, and she was very sly about it, she didn't play her hand all the way, she didn't show her hand, is that the Constitution has text, and that text should be adhered to and interpreted correctly. And you can't just make decisions based on, quote, an opinion poll, end quote. That's not what the Supreme Court is supposed to do. You don't make decisions because, well, this is probably the right thing to do and we like it, so we're going to decide. It doesn't work that way. It's not supposed to work that way. Sometimes it does work that way, but it's not supposed to. I want you to watch this. Let me know what you think in the comments.
He's saying, and we'll roll back some of that video if it gets interesting. Meanwhile, Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett is discussing her time on the bench. She has a new book. It's called Listening to the Law, Reflections on the Court and Constitution, and it's out next week. And this is her first television interview since she joined the bench. She discussed a number of issues with CBS News senior correspondent Norah O'Donnell for CBS Sunday Morning. Here's a preview.
You wrote in the book, the court has held that the rights to marry, engage in sexual intimacy, use birth control, and raise children are fundamental, but the rights to do business, commit suicide, and obtain abortion are not.
Right. I'm describing the doctrine. I was a con law professor for many years. Yes, I described the doctrine in the book, and that is the state of the law, which I described in the book because I want people to understand it. I want Americans to understand the law and that it's not just an opinion poll about whether the Supreme Court thinks something is good or whether the Supreme Court thinks something is bad. Mm-hmm. What the court is trying to do is see what the American people have decided. And sometimes the American people have expressed themselves in the Constitution itself, which is our fundamental law, sometimes in statutes. But the court should not be imposing its own values on the American people. Mm-hmm. That's for the democratic process.
And so when Hillary Clinton, for example, says, what's next? She said, my prediction is the court will do to gay marriage what they did to abortion.
Well, I think people who criticize the court or who are outside say a lot of different things. But again, the point that I make in the book is that we have to tune those things out.
But you also say in the book that the rights to marry and engage in sexual intimacy and use birth control and raise children are fundamental.
Yes, again, I'm describing what our doctrine is, and that is what we've said. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's bring in CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson. I don't know, Jessica.